Alright, what's up everybody? Today I'm going to show you how to import a height map into Blender, and then in part 2 we'll be doing how to place continuous banners and fencing on top of that terrain that we imported, all in Blender. Now this first one, I'm going to, throughout the entire thing I'm going to try to keep it as short and sweet as possible, so just make sure to pause if you come to a point where I might be getting ahead. I'm pretty fluent in it, so I kind of just whiz through some of the stuff that maybe I don't even think about explaining the way I'm doing it. So if I do that, I apologize. Just pause and maybe rewind it until you figure out where we're at. This first video is going to be kind of specific to MX Simulator, but you can also use it for any type of height map grayscale as far as I know. You just need to know where to get your numbers for the dimensions of the height map that you're using. You know, how wide it is, how tall, you know, the difference in height between the highest point and the lowest point, which I'm not going to explain how to find all that information in your specific case. The only one I'm going to show is how to do it for this game, MX Simulator. So I guess, yeah, let's get right into it. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete everything. Press 5 to get me out of perspective view and switch it to orthoscopic, or I forget the exact term. But press 7 so I go directly overhead. And we're going to add a mesh plane. This is going to be our terrain, right? So there's a few steps we need to do to this. I guess I'll just start with making sure it's unwrapped and subdivided, so when it'll sort of morph into the correct shape of our terrain. And you don't got to set your Blender up this exact way. This is just the way I do it. So yeah, we got our terrain, or our mesh plane here. I'm gonna go to tab to edit mode. Just press A to select all, U to unwrap. And another thing I like to do is click this little thing down here. This keeps your UV window and your 3D edit window synced up. So let's say I want to click the top of this. It shows that the top is selected over here. You know, because your UV could be rotated 90 degrees or 180 degrees, and you're looking at it over here thinking that this is the top, when in actuality it could be, oh no, this is the top. So I like that little setting down here to keep us all, keep everything in check. But yeah, so top verified, cool. The next step we have to do is subdivide the crap out of this thing. And this step is kind of sketchy depending on your computer hardware, because technically the more you subdivide it, the smoother your terrain will be and the more accurate it will be. However, the more you subdivide the terrain, the harder it is for your computer to handle it and like not just crash, you know. So for me, if I remember when I did it on my old computer that was pretty just basic, I could do it 9 times. This one I haven't tried any more than 10, because 10 is plenty. But so we're just gonna select all, and then right over here we're just gonna press subdivide. I'm gonna do it 10 times. Like I said, you might be only able to do it 9 times, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you can see it takes long to do it, because yeah, we just converted that one single square into 2 million, or I guess that's so 1 million squares. But now we're good there. That's quick and easy. The next step, I guess, what we can do is get our terrain, because right now when you have to export stuff, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but you have to make sure that our terrain is in the correct space, or like in the location of it is good. If we export it here, that's not. Basically, we need this corner to be exactly in this quadrant right here, right? So to do that, press make sure your cursor's over your 3D window, press N to pull up this tool menu. And now we have to go into your track folders and pull up the terrain.hf file and for simplicity, I have kind of all the files I need kind of just pulled off and separated. But in your track folder, you have one called terrain .hf, because there's also a terrain PNG. But so terrain HF, open that. Notepad++. You can open it in regular Notepad, whatever your text viewer choices, or text editor, like whatever. And there's a few things here. I'll quickly gloss through them. I don't want to confuse anybody, but the terrain I'm doing right now is, you can look if you hover over it, is a 2K terrain. You may have a 1K terrain. It all depends on the track type, whatever. 10 means it's 2K. The next number is, I believe it'll be, this first number will be 9 if it's a 1K image. The next number, this is our scale. If this was 1, that would mean that our terrain is 2,048 feet by 2,048 feet. If we lower the scale, now that our terrain is, I guess we'll do the math right now. That's the first step, right? So let me pull up a calculator here. So what we have to do is, since we have the 10 here, we have a 2K terrain, right? We take 2048 times our scale, which is 0.96, and bam. So technically, our terrain that we have is 1,966 feet wide as a square. So now we take that number, and we're gonna paste that into Blender here, and make sure you don't do it in scale. Make sure you do it in the dimensions. I've made the mistake in the past and didn't realize it till the end, and I had to redo everything that I did. Very annoying. Also, if you copy and paste it from the calculator, you're gonna have a comma in here. You have to make sure that comma's gone, otherwise it'll ignore the 1 beforehand. Your numbers will not be correct. So there we go. Now we have our terrain in. It's unwrapped. It's subdivided a bunch, and it is now the correct dimensions. The next step would be to make sure it's in the right location, right? So to do that, all we do is we take the dimension of it and we divide it by 2. So now we take this number and we paste that up into our location. So X is going to be that number exactly. Y is going to be a negative. Just type in negative on your keyboard and then paste it in. So the same number, but the negative. And you'll notice when you paste these numbers in, like the dimension or the decimal points, they might change really, really slightly. It's not enough to make a different or noticeable difference. So don't worry about that. Just copy and paste it in and you're good. So now we have the scale, the location good. So we're going to press Control A on the keyboard to pull up this menu. We're going to apply location. Pull up the menu again, apply rotation and scale. So the scale is 1 to 1. Locations are all zeros. Sweet. The last step in part 1 here, I guess, is going to be getting the actual height map. Because right now, if we look at it, also, if you're wondering why it does this, let's just, whoa, under view here, where is that clipping? We're just going to extend that. Right now it's at 1,000. We're going to make it 10,000. Ba-bam, just like that. Now we're not getting weird clipping. We can see the entire thing. But yeah, if you look at it, it's flat. So what we're going to do is add a modifier, the displace modifier. We need to add a texture. So click New. Go over here to the texture thing. Texture menu, I guess. I don't know. And go to Open. And we're going to open the terrain PNG that's in your track folder. Like I said, I pulled it all already aside, just put in this random folder on my desktop. But in your track folder, there's a terrain.png. That's what you're going to click. If you're not doing MX Simulator, this would just be your height map, your grayscale height map. And now if you look at it, you're going to go, whoa, that doesn't look like the track. that's because there's a couple things we got to do. Now, color space, we got to switch it to linear. But bam. Whoa, it still doesn't look like my track. Switch the mid-level to 0. Oops. I don't know what. I didn't press 0. I pressed something else. And now the strength is going to be the difference in the lowest point of your terrain file, which is this number, and the highest point. Luckily for us on this example, the lowest point is 0. The highest point is 75. Therefore, the difference is 75. But if it was like -10 and 75, then the difference would actually be 85. Does that make sense? But since it's not, it's just 75. We switch our strength to 75. Whoa, it still doesn't look right. Oh yeah, because we have to switch texture coordinates over to UV. And now, ba-bam, we have the accurate terrain map in here. And it's all set. So that's it. That's the first step of this. Pretty simple. Hopefully I didn't rush over anything that that I just kind of subconsciously did, but this is really good for it's the first step in if you want to do banners that follow the terrain here, or fencing that follows this terrain without having to place each individual chunk of fence. Or if you want to do any sort of custom modeling around, like maybe build a tunnel in somewhere or something like that, that's what you need. And just I might just switch to smooth so it looks a little smoother. But yep, that's the first step. So now that's ready to go, and I guess yeah, I'm gonna end this video here. Part 2 will be how to place actual banners and fencing along this terrain. So if you want, click on through to the next one. If not, thanks for watching.